Hey there gang, I hope you're having an amazing day today. Kawaii50 here with yet another Fake Grand Order video because we got some stuff from Nasu's Famitsu interview. Now I'm not gonna go over all of the things ever, but I'm going to hit 3 important bullet points that I really think were valuable information from this Famitsu interview. So if you're looking for me to go through every single servant popularity thing that happened, all of those votes and stuff like that from the Famitsu, that's not going to show up here. This is mainly game relevant news and information as well as stuff about those characters. So I hope, despite the fact that I'm not going to do a 700-hour long video of every single listicle, you still find this video enjoyable. If you do, please consider liking, subscribing, commenting, sharing, etc. All these things would really help me out, so try to get to 10k subs by the end of the year. And don't worry, we're going to be doing other videos for stuff like Hoyo games and things like that. It's just FGO has a lot of important stuff happen to it this week, so we kind of have to make sure we cover that. Without further ado, let's take a gander at the most important thing that is come out of this Famitsu interview. And yes, I did not just bait that until the very end. So easily the most important thing out of this has to be the question asked for Nasu about the plan after Part 2 ends. If you're unaware of what was announced recently, Part 2 is definitely going to end in 2025. They had this whole plan to try to push FGO up until the 10th anniversary, and it looks like that is actually what is happening, funny enough. So we're going to be hitting that end. Now, Nasu said people have to die one day. Everything comes to an end, but it won't end suddenly. After Part 2, the main story of FGO ends, for now. Who knows what happens after that? Now I have some idea about what happens after that, but I'm not sure, so I can't say anything. Even though I keep saying, let me go after Part 2 and set me free! But people just can't get what they want, right? And then he ends it with a smile. Now, I'm not going to do any sort of doom posting or anything like that. I'm not going to be like, end of service in FGO, woe is me. Because it's clear that Nasu's hinting at something or other. I've seen a lot of theories getting chucked around. I've seen people talking about, a cool-off period with events before we end up going into a Part 3. This does make a modicum of sense because FGO still does manage to top the charts when it comes to revenue, does a really good job at making some money, and it's wary whether or not, they would want to go ahead and let that go. There's always a chance that when Nasu is talking about, the main story ending, who knows what happens after that, set me free, there is a chance that Nasu might be stepping back and we're going to have somebody else doing the main writing going from, Part 3 onwards. Some people might argue that that's not a true FGO. I'll let you all fight it out in the comments whether an FGO without Nasu's involvement is a true FGO. There's so many theories bouncing around. We're just starting to get all these other Type Moon characters show up in FGO. It's really starting to grow into that big multiverse. So, this could even be Nasu baiting. Ended it with a smile. Nasu does enjoy working on FGO despite what some other people might lead you to believe. So if Nasu wants to keep writing and keep expanding FGO, well, Nasu will keep writing and expanding FGO, and there's not really a dang thing you can do about it. But as of right now, we can say definitively Part 2, 2025. They've got a hard cutoff point for that. What happens after that is up for debate, but it won't just be a sudden, immediate last chapter comes out, boom, end of service. So you can at least take some solace in that. Now, these next 2 bits are about some really important servants, probably the most important one being Camazotz. Everyone loves Camazotz. People want Camazotz to be summoned. So people straight up asked in Famitsu, is there any chance we're going to get a Camazotz? Nasu says if there is fate with him, he may end up being summoned, but his story ends in Lost Belt 7. So Nasu personally hopes that Camazotz can rest from now on. So there's potential that with a natural story conclusion in Lost Belt 7, we might not be getting a Camazotz. However, Takeuchi has specifically said that the servant they want to see the most, the NPC they want the most in FGO is Camazotz, followed by Woodwose, and then the 3 Goblin Brothers from Lost Belt 6. So massive Lost Belt 6 fan that Takeuchi is. So if Takeuchi wants it, there is huge potential that we might just end up getting Camazotz, maybe as a guest servant with not a lot of story surrounding him, since, story did wrap up in Lost Belt 7. but don't throw away all of your hope for summonable Camazotz just yet. And finally, there is, of course, Ereshkigal, the 9th Anti-Servant that is absolutely insane in class, in mechanics, in appearance. Everything about Summer Ereshkigal is gold. But the question came, why was Summer Eresh picked as the 9th Anti-Servant? Nasu says that Ereshkigal was originally scheduled to appear in summer 2023, but Nasu realized if Eresh comes on, the story is going to end up revolving around her. That's just how popular Ereshkigal is. And that was really hard for Nasu to deal with, what was happening at the time. It was difficult to decide, how are we going to fit Ereshkigal in summer 2023 story, so they decided to make Eresh the 9th Anniversary Servant. It was also decided early on that Eresh was going to be a Beast class, no matter what. So Beast class was locked in super duper early. But Ereshkigal is a beast that does not belong to proper human history. She is a servant verse beast. So you don't have to worry about any sort of beast counts or anything like that, or a potential of this particular Ereshkigal turning against you. Nope, not gonna happen. She is the servant verse beast. She is the gag beast. You don't gotta worry about anything revolving around that. She's basically just servant verse beast. Anything goes in the servant verse. And those are really the big things I wanted to cover. A lot of interesting news came out from this Famitsu interview. These were just some of the highlights. Everything I read was translated by No Afternoon 6191 over on Reddit. So you can go ahead and check out our Grand Order to see what other things showed up in that Famitsu that we got related to FGO. I think that was a lot of neat things that we just learned. I'm really curious what the plan is for after part 2, but I mean, who isn't, right? Who isn't? We're just going to have to see how things go and how FGO ends up ultimately playing out. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to let me know down in the comments. Check out Discord, Patreon, Ko-fi. Huge thanks to everyone across all those platforms for their support, and a huge thanks to you on YouTube for watching to the very end. Anyways, gang, that's it for me, Katsuie. I hope you all have a phenomenal day, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care, and bye-bye.